Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between. This is Amayirot Akago, and welcome back to Deathgate. Last time we went into the World of Fire, Pryan, and met some of the locals who were all living up in the trees. And it turned out that there was a living Sartan named Zifnab. This goofy-looking Gandalf-like figure, who was teaching the kids about all the races living in harmony, because as it turns out there is a massive citadel that the Sartan built here a long time ago, where all the different races could live together once they learned to, get along. Which is also where we need to go, because that's what a piece of the world seal is. So I suppose we should go get to that. Also, Zifnab has a pet dragon. Unthreatened, the dragon in turn regards you non-threateningly, though through restful, half-lidded eyes. His entire demeanor suggests that he has nothing to fear from the tiny patron visiting his home. His beautiful iridescent scales glisten with the dappled sunlight, and when he stretches, splay rainbows everywhere. A sparkly dragon. From this vantage over the deep chasm, you see the tree you started from. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to do up here. We just talked to Zifnab, and I have no desire to hear any more from him for the moment, so we should probably get ourselves out of here, although, what happens if I try to go down? Okay. I think I'd have thought that would just give me a message saying I couldn't just get down from there, but apparently I can. We got some blue flowers here. Maybe that might make an appropriate gift for the Elven Prince. Subtle but unmistakable. One sniff is enough to lift your mood. Ah, see? Chasm between the two trees is too large to jump. Oh, okay. So that was just a little diversion while we send ourselves back the usual method. You weave the spell in the air. It floats lightly over to the disc. It strikes and an explosion of light obscures everything. Eventually the light fades, but what reappears isn't at all what was there before. Your surroundings are completely different. The only thing that remains is a disc, but its color has changed to white. Kids are still sitting around the fire. Here you go.
Thank you very much. I still need the golden staff of rulership. She'll only regard me as an equal if I'm holding it. After I've gained her respect with it, I can woo her with these flowers and book of love poems that you gave to me. All I need is the staff, but that's probably the hardest thing to get.
I'm on it, little guy. Let's see, isn't there any place I can tie this rope? Well, like I said, I'm obviously the guy to go into the mall and get that staff back for him, but exactly how we're supposed to go and get it remains to be seen. I could jump into the maw. The branch you stand on overlooks a kind of pit ringed with similar trees. Not even sunlight makes it down to the bottom. You have no idea how deep it is, but if it extends all the way to the ground, you imagine that it could go on for miles. A running start launches you into the bottomless pit. After a few minutes of weightlessness, you see the dark ground rushing towards you. Briefly, you wonder what runs through someone's mind when they hit bottom. A very sharp stick. Yeah, I could have seen that one coming. What am I supposed to do with this shelf and ember? Yeah. Does anybody here want to talk to me now, maybe? No.
Hello, good sir.
Where did he go?
Where did who go?
That flaming Sartan. You know, Zifnab.
Oh, Zifnab. I'm not sure. Sometimes he just gets so flustered that he leaves through the disc. Seeing you sure made him flustered for some reason. We'll all wait around for a while to see if he comes back. It's usually worth it if he does.
Tell me more about this girl.
Certainly.
Who is this girl?
She's beautiful. She's a hunter, she's a musician, she's a leader, she's everything I ever wanted. And not only is she human, but she's a princess as well. And she doesn't even know I exist. Now without the staff, I'll never get a chance.
A human? Won't your father be a bit angry with your choice?
I don't care. At least she's royalty. My father will learn to accept it. He has to.
Where did you meet her?
I met her at one of our gatherings. Lately, she's been coming to hear the wizard speak. I think she's interested in his message of racial harmony. In fact, she'll be coming to a meeting tonight. I was hoping to have the staff by then. Oh well.
Enough of...
All right.
When is your girl going to show up?
I'm not sure. And she's not my girl.
Haplo, you tease.
So this princess is the girl you're crazy about, huh?
Oh, yes, that's her. I'd give anything just to have a simple conversation with her. On the few occasions she actually listens to me, I stumble over my words until I'm flat on my face. She just gives me that frown of hers and looks away. I'll never get her to take me seriously.
Do you think your girl would give me her sword if I ask her nicely?
Give you her sword? Never! It's her most valuable possession. She'd die before she gave it to anyone.
Well then, do you think she'd do me a favor if I asked her?
I can't say, but I've never seen her be nice to anyone she didn't know well. If she liked me better, I'd be happy to ask her for you. Maybe someday.
What exactly do you need to court this princess?
I need the golden staff of rulership. She'll only regard me as an equal if I'm holding it.
Yeah, okay, we already knew that.
Tell me about this staff.
I've already told you almost everything I know about it. Though I know that I'll never again go into the mall after it. Once was enough. And usually more than enough because you're not around to talk about it afterwards.
How long does the gathering go on?
For quite a while. Zifnab sometimes leaves and returns a few times in an evening. We use his comings and goings as an excuse to socialize and play games. We only leave if we start to get really tired.
What is that thing in the fire?
That's the hive of some nasty stinging bugs we have around here. It's completely deserted. Otherwise, we'd be up to our necks in angry flying insects. They don't take well to their homes being lit on fire.
Thanks, Prince. I'll speak with you later.
Sure, I'm not going anywhere.
I reckon she still doesn't want to talk to us.
Even though you look...
Yeah. The other kids are doing their own thing. Okay, I'm back. So it turns out...
You're welcome to take that disc. I can always get my dragon to ferry me back and forth, but unless I miss my guess, you don't have a pet dragon. Without the disc, you're going to have to find another way back to the other tree.
Yeah. We can just take this disc. And then... according to the walkthrough, we should be able to tie the tree to the branch. Or should I go up? Criminy. There we go. Alright. Finally. Okay. No. Now we throw the disc into the maw. And we use that to teleport down. Ooh. You stand on a root ledge right on the edge of a massive web. In the center, a gigantic spider sits patiently. He doesn't look very friendly. The creature's as big as a house. Venom drips from wicked fangs and compound eyes scan back and forth. It sits quietly, patiently in the center of the massive web, surrounded by pods which contain previous visitors to its domain. The whole effect is rather unsettling. I'm sure we can take him with our shear. You leap at the monster, the rusty shear held high. You land short of the monster, right on the strand of the sticky web. While you try to free yourself, the huge spider glides over and sinks 2 fangs into your back. Soon your body stiffens and the spider wraps you up for a snack sometime later. Let's hope you're dead by then. Oops. But we have a very conspicuous hive of those nasty little insects that were mentioned before. And we just happen to have the one thing that they hate. Fire! As soon as you touch the hot ember to the massive hive on the tree, it bursts into flame. In surprise, you jerk your hand back and drop the shell containing the ember into the web below. The air erupts with the nasty, stinging bugs that had made the hive their home. Some of the insects make tentative passes at you, but veer away when they get within range of the foul odor wafting from the yellow petals you hold. So it was a good thing I already crushed the flowers before. Without a target, the insect swarm moves angrily at random. Attracted by the sweet aroma, some fly towards the marmalade, but are immediately driven back by the odor of the petals. Others just fly in circles, buzzing angrily. Throw this at the spider? With a grunt of effort, you heave the jar of marmalade at the spider. It strikes dead center and smashes open. The marmalade splashes all over its disgusting body. You can smell the sickly sweet aroma from here. The insects are immediately attracted by the sweet smell of the marmalade-splashed spider. As one, they swarm toward it. The center of the web becomes a flurry of activity. The stinging insects whirl around the spider as it thrashes in agony. Soon, the one-sided battle dies down. The spider slumps onto the web in death. Yay! We killed a spider, and there's the gold staff. You scramble across the web until you reach a pod. There, you pry with your bare hands the thick, sticky strands but get nowhere. The pod is far too strong to open in this fashion. Disconcerted, you return to the relative safety of the ledge. Okay, can we cut it open with the shear for real this time? Yes. You whip out the garden shear and start to saw away the thick, sticky strands. After a few minutes, the golden staff, as well as its grisly ex-owner, are completely revealed. You grab the staff and make your way back to the relative safety of the ledge. Gold staff get. Anything else we can get in here? Just covering all my bases. Some trees, dead people. Someone else made it to the ledge, but finding himself here, had nowhere to go and died. It appears he's been here for a long, long time. Well, guess we've done all we can. Let's magic ourselves out of here and get the staff to its rightful owner. You give the final item to the prince and offer a quick word of encouragement. He breathes deeply to bolster his courage and strides toward the princess, holding the staff out before him like a shield. The prince nervously sidles up to the princess. Her eyes open wide when she sees the object he holds, and she excitedly asks about it. He stammers an explanation and she nods throughout, but it is obvious that he is losing her attention. He thrusts the bunch of blue flowers towards her. She gasps in astonishment, but smiles and accepts them. For the first time you notice that she has a twinkle in her eye while looking at the prince. You sense that she is beginning to see the prince as something other than merely an elf or a prince, and more than a friend. She says nothing, however, and the silence begins to expand. The prince pulls out the book of poems and flips through it. He reads at random from a poem which speaks of a man's love for his favorite steed. When he realizes the poem's subject matter, he immediately stops and moves on to another. Instead of being assaulted, the princess giggles softly at the prince's boyish attempts to enchant her. Soon he has found the heart-rending poem that actually brings tears to the eyes of the princess. At the end of the reading, she throws her arms around the prince and kisses him. He drops the book and returns the kiss. Ah, young love. After a few minutes, a smiling prince wanders back to you.
It worked! All of it! She has agreed to consider my courtship, and I owe it all to you, my friend, more than I can ever repay. But I will try. I know that you have a quest here, but I know not what it is. I will accompany and help you as I can, and perhaps I can give you some fraction of the happiness you have given me.
You're very welcome, little guy. How about you?
Greetings. My prince explained that you are a friend of his and that you helped bring us together. For that, I am indebted to you.
My role in your romance was nothing, dear princess.
On the contrary, it means everything to me. I am not blind to what the consequences of our union could mean to our races as well. It could unite our peoples. This could usher in a new age of peace. You are largely responsible for that.
It's an interesting flute she's got there. Looks like it belongs to Batman.
The prince is a sweet guy, isn't he?
He's very sweet, a little naive, but all the more adorable because of it. I never really thought of elves that way, but he changed my mind.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
Could you scratch my back? Oh, Haplo, you devil.
I was wondering if you'd accompany me somewhere. I need you to use your golden sword for a task.
Of course I'll help you. I can't imagine what task would require my golden sword. It's not much of a weapon, it's a symbol of leadership. But I'll be happy to accompany you.
Yay! Making friends.
Greetings, my friend.
But we're not done talking yet.
What do you think your father is going to say about your union?
I don't think he's ever considered the idea, but he has a lot of respect for the elves. After a little grumbling, I think he'll be happy for me.
That's a nice flute you've got there.
Thank you. It was given to me by my warder. He's the one who trained me to hunt and track, but he also taught me to play this flute. He is one of the only people I know who still remembers how to play the old written music. There isn't much of it left, but he collected some of the ancient sheets and kept them safe. I was honored to learn the skill from him.
Tell me a little about your people.
I thought you were human, but I guess you're not. Otherwise, my people would be your people. We're nomadic. We live all over Prion following the game we hunt. It might appear to the other races that we're rather loosely organized, but that's not true. My father leads us wisely with the counsel of the people. We have thrived for generations. Our lives are hard, though, and sometimes dangerous. The appeal of the elves' safe and stable society affects many of us. For some, it's too much to resist. They come to the elves as refugees and beg for whatever work is available. I think my people want to settle down. They follow my father out of loyalty, but they're ready to change the way they live. Even I wouldn't mind some stability.
Are you ill? It sounds like you've got a cough.
I do have a slight cough, but it's nothing. I caught a chill in a downpour a little while ago. I'll get over it eventually. Just now, it's not that bad.
I didn't hear any cough, but whatever.
Thanks, Princess. That's all I have to say.
Sure.
Okay, so we have 2 out of 3 of the people that we need to open the Citadel so far. So we're well on our way to getting the seal piece. But more importantly, we have someone who can play a flute. And we happen to have a melody that can stop the Titans dead in their tracks. That away. Whoa! A young dwarf girl is tied to a tree with vines here. She looks desperate. Hello, little dwarf girl.
You've got to get out of here! There are giants everywhere! They're hiding in the trees just waiting for someone to walk into their forest so they can grab them, throw them against a very uncomfortable tree, and tie them up with vines! Leave before it's too late!
She's gotten herself in a spot of trouble, it seems. But, like I said, we have just what we need
Would
to
you mind
handle
doing
this.
me a favor?
A favor? Certainly. What is it?
Can you play a quick tune on that flute?
Certainly. I'm sorry. This cough keeps me from playing for any length of time.
Well, I had to ask her to play the tune from the book, but
Thanks, Princess. That's all I have to say.
Sure.
if she's ill, then maybe she could use a little healing salve. Doesn't cure colds. How about this plant? This?
I don't really have any use for that.
Well, let's try asking her to play it anyway and see what happens.
Would you?
Could
you take a look at this book? It has some written music in it. I'd like to know if you could play it.
This is incredible! It's music from the ancients! What an amazing find! Would you like me to play it?
Yes, start playing it now if you would.
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
The princess lifts the flute to her lips. A haunting, hypnotic melody emerges. Hopefully this will give me enough time to free that dwarf girl. You slip next to the struggling dwarf and pull out the garden shear. The princess's melody appears to keep the giants at bay while you saw through the dwarf's bindings. The vines fall away just as the princess coughs and stop playing the flute. The forest erupts with the towering brutes all racing toward you with murder in their eyeless faces. You grab the dwarf's hand and sprint off to the south. The crowded forest falls away, and when your party finally has reached the clearing, you notice that the giants have stopped following you. The dwarf girl gasps for breath. Her legs were obviously made for negotiating much shorter distances. After she recovers, she looks up at you. Naturally, you expect the small creature to overwhelm you with gratitude.
Why did you rescue me?
Why wouldn't we?
It just doesn't happen. We haven't even seen an elf for generations, and the humans we have seen have been content to keep as far from us as possible. It suits us fine. Humans and elves can keep their petty wars to themselves as far as we're concerned.
Because you were in trouble. Everyone should help out those in need.
Wow, you really helped me just because I needed help? That's so nice. I don't believe it.
She wipes away a tear sneaking down her sideburns.
It's a custom among my people to give a favor in return for one, especially one as significant as saving a life. All you have to do is ask.
That's fine, but could I talk with you a while before I ask for anything?
Of course. What do you want to talk about?
Do you know anything about a golden hammer?
A golden hammer? I'm not sure. Wait, I think there's a golden hammer in the weapons vault. A few years ago, there was a false alarm. We thought that the Titans were attacking, so the elders ordered that the vault be opened. Everyone took up weapons and headed towards the forest. At that point, we realized we had been tricked. Some child got his rear tanned, and everyone went to replace their weapons. I was one of the first in the vault, and I noticed a golden hammer shoved way in the back. No one had taken it. I looked at it to find out why. The weight was all wrong, and I determined that it was actually forged of gold. Can you believe it? A soft metal like gold? One strong blow and the thing would flatten. I don't understand why anyone ever made such a useless weapon.
Dwarves, nothing if not practical.
Do you think you could get it for me? That could be my favor.
I don't think so. The only time the vault is open is in response to an attack by the giants. They never make exceptions. In fact, ever since the false alarm, they are more careful than ever to verify that the attack is genuine. They don't want dwarves harming themselves or others, either by accident or deliberately, by using these weapons. Some of them are very dangerous.
Is there any other way into the vault?
Absolutely not. Dwarves are masters at tunneling. We made the vault impossible to tunnel into by lining it with fire-hardened metals. There's no way in unless it is opened.
Maybe the hammer wasn't meant to be used as a weapon.
Why would someone forge a hammer unless it was meant to be used? That doesn't make any sense.
Could you go ask the elders if they'd make an exception? No one seems to want the hammer anyway.
I could ask, but I already know the answer. Nothing is going to open that vault except an attack from the giants, and I really hope that doesn't happen in my lifetime. I'll go, though. Wait here. I'll be back soon.
Dwarf girl grabs the branch sticking out of the dead tree trunk and pulls it in an intricate motion, which you take the time to memorize. In response, a hidden door pops open. She ducks inside and scuttles downward into a tunnel. I was right. There was something here. Copying the movement of the young dwarf, you pull at the twisted branch sticking out of the stump. A door pops open. Inside, you see a narrow tunnel that leads straight down. You climb inside the hollow stump, but quickly realize that the dwarven tunnel is far too narrow for your girth. Indeed, it is probably too narrow for any race save the dwarves themselves. You clamber out of the trunk and brush yourself off. Darn. We are gonna need her help in order to get in there, but yeah. From the open door on the stump steps the dwarf girl, a little out of breath and dirtier for the trip.
It's just as I thought. The elders agree that I should fulfill my obligation, but they cannot open the vault unless we are at war. Have you thought of anything else you want?
Do the elders have any ideas?
No, they're still getting over the idea that I owe a favor to a human.
Could you take me to talk to them? Maybe I could convince the elders.
You don't know the elders. We tend to be a fairly stubborn people, and the elders are about as stubborn as they come. Besides, I don't think you would be able to fit inside the tunnel. Being little comes in handy sometimes.
Yeah, got me there.
I don't know about anything else. Perhaps we should talk a bit more.
Fine with me.
Can you tell me anything about that building to the south?
Sure. It's the great shining city. No one ever enters and no one ever leaves. The front doors are closed and nothing can open them. We've even tried tunneling in. We just bounced off the floor. It's made of something we've never encountered before.
How did you get captured?
I wandered into the forest of giants when I shouldn't have. I just wanted to see them. Everyone told me that they were actually bigger than humans. I didn't believe it until they jumped out of the trees and grabbed me. The giants don't bother anyone unless you go into their forest. They're pretty touchy about that. I'm just lucky they tied me up instead of stepping on me.
Tell me what you know about these giants.
Many generations ago, my ancestors dug their tunnels here. When they emerged from the ground to have a look around, they encountered the giants. They weren't friendly and definitely not especially happy to meet us. Mayhem broke out. The dwarves weren't used to war, but they were quick studies. They forged weapons and battled the giants for years. One day, the giants suddenly stopped fighting. They drew back into the forest and remained there. As long as we stayed out, they left us alone. We keep the store of weapons in a vault, though, ready just in case the giants change their minds and attack. We also have an interesting legend about the giants.
Tell me the legend of these giants.
According to legend, the giants are the children of the Shining City. They lived inside it and were very happy, but they always wondered what lay outside of the city's walls. One day they snuck out. The city discovered them missing. It was furious that its children had left it, so as punishment it took away their eyes and closed its doors, leaving them outside. The Shining City became dark in its sorrow. The giants moved into the forest nearby. They hoped that one day the city would reopen its doors and let them in. The only memory of their time inside was a gem that one of them had brought with them. They cherished that memory and guarded it jealously. One day the city's heart grew lonely. It decided to forgive its errant children and invite them to return, so it began to shine again. If the giants had seen it, they would have rushed home. But the city had taken their eyes and they couldn't see the beckoning light. So they remain inside the forest, waiting for a call that came long ago, and the city waits for its children who will never return. We dwarves believe that if only we could lead the giants back to the city, they would go in and leave the forest to us. We know that they are guarding the gem at the center of the forest. A few brave dwarves have entered the forest in hopes of stealing the gem and bringing it to the Shining City. The giants would follow the gem, and when they came upon the city, it would open its doors to them and they would go back home.
The gem being that Sartan artifact that the Titans worship, which Zifnap told us about.
What do you know about the gem?
Supposedly, it's huge and crystal and has strange writings on it. Actually, it's not supposed to be all that valuable. Crystal's not worth much. You'd figure that something they guarded so fiercely would be worth more.
Has anyone ever been able to take the gem?
A long time ago, a dwarf named Lungput the Swift ventured into the forest. Somehow he made it to the center, into a clearing, and there, lying on the ground, he discovered the gem. He grabbed it and bolted for the city. Well, the giants followed him all right, but they caught him before he got anywhere near the city. He tried hiding behind trees and rocks anywhere out of sight, but the giants homed in on him as if he were a beacon. They took back their gem and squished poor Lungput. Since then, no one's ever come back out of the forest once they went in.
How far did you make it inside? Did you actually see the gem?
No, I never got anywhere near it. I didn't even mean to go as far as I did. One step inside the forest was enough for these big bullies. They grabbed me and tied me up. Didn't even say a word.
Do they normally squash intruders?
That's what the elders say, and no one's ever said differently. I thought maybe they were exaggerating just to keep us out of the forest, but maybe not. At least they only tied me up.
Are you sure you didn't get stepped on? You're pretty short.
One of these days, gravity is going to realize that people shouldn't have legs that long. Then you'll be sorry.
Enough about these giants.
All right, what else do you want to know?
Where do you live?
Why, right here. Well, under here, anyhow. We dwarves prefer to live underground. We have a network of tunnels that run for miles in all directions.
Could we go back to the subject of the golden hammer again?
What do you need to know about it?
Let's talk.
Sure.
Let me introduce you to my companions.
The small dwarf greets your companions. The prince bows graciously. The dwarf looks a little reserved, perhaps wondering if he's making fun of her height. She says a few words, and the prince appears a little taken aback by the dwarf's gruff and direct comments. But they speak a bit more, and soon both are laughing and enjoying each other's company. The dwarf girl soon turns to the princess, and after the initial pleasantries, the princess lapses into a coughing fit.
That's a nasty cough you've got there, Princess. But I know a surefire remedy. It only requires 4 ingredients, and I've got one of them with me. Let's see. You'll need some dead man's friend, the meat from a zuzu nut, the roots of the plith plant, and the dried herbs that I carry.
What the heck is Dead Man's Friend?
It's a fungus, a toadstool that tends to grow under carrion, dead bodies. That's why it's known as Dead Man's Friend.
I reckon we could find that in the mall.
Can you tell me about the zuzu nut?
The nut is named after the zuzu, a shy animal that survives on a diet of just the meat of the nut. It's considered a delicacy, and it's very hard to come by. The nut's shell is incredibly thick. It's almost impossible to open. The zuzu has to be very strong just to crack them. I think you'll find a grove of the nuts off to the west. Good luck in getting at the meat.
Where am I going to find a plith plant?
They're not rare. You should be able to find them anywhere. The plith have pink flowers. If you see those, just pull up the whole plant. You should get the roots along with everything else.
That we already happen to have.
Can I have those herbs?
Sure. I've got them here somewhere.
She paws through her dusty garments and emerges holding a handful of dried herbs. Smiling, she hands them over to you.
What are you supposed to do with all of these things?
Just feed them to her. It all ends up in the same place. After she's eaten them all, she should have shaken off that nasty cough.
You think that this favor would make us even?
You think a simple cough remedy is worth my life? I owe you far more than that. You keep thinking about what you need. This is just being friendly.
Can we talk about some other things?
Sure.
Could we go back to the subject of the gold?
What do you...
This is getting us nowhere. The only thing I need is the golden hammer. Could you go try again to get it?
Nothing's going to change. But if it will make you happy, I'll go back in and rack my brains. I'll try everything, and I won't come back out until I've got it. Don't get your hopes up.
Very well. If you do somehow get the hammer, meet me at the Shining City. I need you to do something with it there.
The dwarf girl slips back into the hollow stump and closes the door behind her. Well, have some herbs. The pink plant. Now we just need to open this nut and get some of that dead man's friend. Aha. Now we just give this to the critter. You toss the nut up to the animal perched on the branch. Lightning Quake Claw snatches the nut from the air. The animal tucks it close to its furry body, inserts 2 pointy talons into the hole in the shell and exerts pressure. The yellow petals stuffed inside the nut fly everywhere. One whiff makes the animal's nose wrinkle up. Evidently, this isn't how its favorite food is supposed to smell. It hurls the nut back at you. When it lands, the meat of the nut falls out right at your feet. Ha ha! Voila! Now let's go for a little flight. Shabadabooby. Let's see. It looks like those are some of the mushrooms right there. Push the corpse out of the... oh! You shove the remains of the ancient traveler to one side. Underneath you discover a patch of toadstools and a glowing arrow. Yoink. Oh, the others didn't come with me, obviously. The arrow, although surely decades old, looks as new as the day it was made. It glows with a magic aura. Could come in handy if we ever find a bow anywhere. Here you go. The princess accepts the toadstool and gobbles them down. After she finishes her snack, she looks up in surprise. She breathes deeply, but her lungs are clear. Her cough has disappeared. Yay!
Greeting.
Would you...
A favor?
Could you start playing the tune from that book I gave you?
Very well. Just tell me when to stop.
Already cut the vines and I can't pick them up, I guess? Nah. Far too heavy. Well, let's continue on our way. The further you move into it, the darker the forest becomes. You see more Titans scattered throughout the trees. The forest is lousy with Titans. There are almost as many as the giants as there are trees. Titans have gathered around one tree here. High in its branches, you see something made of crystal, clearly the focus of the Titan's attention. When you look closely, you notice that the crystal object is a fragment, a piece of something larger. It is roughly octagonal and has the naming rune for the world of stone carved into it. You guess that it is a fragment of a copy of the entire world seal carved from crystal. Interesting. I have to somehow get to it. Although the tree is dead, it still has a few branches on it. Nestled in one of the higher ones, you see a crystal object. A few branches make it possible to climb up to it, but they look rather fragile. You doubt that they could support your weight. Could the prince climb up?
Yes, my friend?
Could you climb the tree and get that crystal?
All right, I'll be back in a moment.
Careful now. The prince tiptoes around the unnaturally still giants, vaults up the tree, and grabs the crystal fragment. He climbs part of the way down, looks around nervously at the Titans, and drops heavily to the ground. He runs up and delivers the crystal to you, sweating and puffing. Alrighty then. When you look closely... Yeah, okay. We know what this thing is. And now we also have the naming rune for the World of Stone. Hooray. Well, I guess we got what we came for. Let's hightail it out of here before they notice the thing is gone. Exiting the forest, you notice a deep rumbling behind you. You realize that the Titans further in are probably out of range of the flute's melody. They've fallen out of thrall, notice that their precious relic has been stolen, and start to rampage directly toward it, and, not coincidentally, you!
They're coming and they'll be here before you know it. The flute's no good anymore. When they find us with the relic, they'll tear us apart.
The relic! That's what they're really after! We've got to get rid of it!
Good idea. Let the dwarves deal with it. You toss the crystal fragment into the hollow stump. You hear it bump against the sides as it falls deep into the dwarven caves below. The Titans come crashing through the forest, no longer concerned about what they crush in their path. They totally ignore you and your companions and focus on the stump in the middle of the clearing. After a couple of attempts, they slowly begin to realize that even the smallest of their numbers are never going to be able to fit inside the dwarven tunnel. Although this fact might have stopped someone even slightly smarter, the Titans aren't even slowed. With bare hands, they begin to excavate their own tunnel. Dwarf curses and battle cries float up from the hole. Should I sit around and wait and see what happens? I guess not. Play the melody again?
Greeting.
Would you mind doing me a favor?
A favor?
Could you start playing the tune from that book I gave you?
Very well.
Compared to the silent, motionless, tree-like state you were accustomed to, these frantic wild Titans are like tornadoes. They leave a swath of destruction throughout the forest as they search for their artifact. Where's that dwarf girl at? No, I can't get in.
Yes, my friend?
Do you know anything about the dwarves?
Before we met our new friend, I'd never actually seen a dwarf. But my father has. As king, he's spoken with their representatives on a few occasions. They tend to keep to themselves most of the time. They stay carefully neutral in any conflicts we have with the humans, and they're incredibly stubborn. No amount of persuasion will make them take sides. All in all, we usually leave them alone, and they do the same.
Do you know anything about the Citadel?
I'm afraid I've only heard that it exists, but I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry.
You're kind of scrawny for your age, aren't you?
I'm not scrawny. Elves are just naturally thinner than humans, and I'm still kind of young. When I'm full grown, I'll be taller than you.
Nothing right now, but stick with me.
Sure.
Okay, we've unleashed the Titans upon the dwarves. What do we do now? The melody doesn't seem to be holding them off.
I was standing there in the tunnels arguing with an elder about opening up the vault when the crystal gem dropped from above right on the elder's head. Before I could even laugh, I heard the pounding of the giants trying to get inside the tunnel. The elder went crazy. He sounded the alarm and opened the vault right then and there. I grabbed both the crystal gem and the golden hammer and took a back tunnel here. I guessed that I could get rid of my obligation to you and lead the giants back to their home. Here's the hammer you wanted. I'm glad to have been able to repay you. Now all we have to do is wait for the giants to come home. They'll arrive, the doors will open, and everyone will be happy. I hope.
As hard as she tries, she can't conceal her fear at the pounding footsteps that get closer with every passing moment. Okay. You direct three youngsters to put their respective symbols into the recesses on the citadel door. None of them grasp your meaning entirely, but you're assured that all will be made clear shortly. When the last symbol is slid into place, the doors swing inward, revealing a gleaming city, an ancient city of the Sartan. Huh. So everything kind of worked out on its own. The Titans arrive, legs pumping, but when they come upon the gaping doors of the citadel, they lose all interest in the crystal fragment. Instead, they file into the city and take positions in front of massive machines, as if they knew what they were doing.
There's room enough for all of the races here. If we could live together, we could do it better than ever.
It seems that they do. A few minutes of tinkering and button pressing can pass before the city comes to life. Lights flare, and the entire citadel begins to hum pleasantly. The Mensch wander in, their eyes wide with wonder. Thinking about your quest, you regain the crystal fragment from the distracted dwarf. The Mensch go on, but something else has attracted your attention. An archway, only a few dozen feet inside the citadel, is decorated by the fire seal piece. A flare just inside the citadel's gate catches your eye. You see Zifnab coughing and ineffectually brushing soot from his robes. He looks up, sees you as well, and smiles.
Haplo, my boy! I knew you could do it! They put their symbols into the face of a mysterious building without even knowing why. Quite an achievement if you ask me. That shows leadership qualities. You've inspired loyalty in these children. They trust you. Does your heart good to see them together, doesn't it? Too bad it's only for a little while, It's a good thing they don't know that you're just scouting for your lord. That soon he will destroy these children's lives for his dreams of conquest. That would just ruin their day. Better keep this between you and me if you know what I mean. Don't worry, Haplo, I won't interfere in your mission. In fact, I have a present for you. I tried to take up a collection around the office, but no one there seems to like you very much. I wasn't going to say anything, but they all think you're on the side of evil. That doesn't make you very popular. Most of their ideas of a going-away present took the form of a punch in the mouth. I stuck up for you, though. He's not a mindless puppet, I said. He has very good reasons for wanting to destroy everything. I'm sure he's thought this whole thing through. They seemed a little doubtful, but I know my old buddy Haplo. You'll come through in the end. Anyway, since no one chipped in, I got you this. It's a genuine 100% natural, roughly spherical, all-purpose evil combating device. Really? I know you're thinking, Zifnab, how can this obviously rare and well-crafted document holder also combat evil? Well, fear not. This particular paperweight is magic. That's right. As the stone approaches true evil, it will glow. Soon, you will encounter an evil greater than any you've ever known, even in the labyrinth. And it has magic. Horrible, powerful, destructive. Much different than the magic that we command. The rock will react to this magic. The closer you get, the brighter it will glow. When you are in its very presence, crush the rock. You'll know the right time.
What will happen when I crush it?
I don't know, but I'm sure that it will be impressive. And just in case it doesn't work, use the backup plan. Hurl that sucker. I find that a nice solid puck upside the head always slows evil down.
Gee, thanks.
Now you're thinking, how can he afford to give this away? Well, that's very astute of you, Haplo. I can't afford it. Of course, I'm taking a loss on this transaction, but when your friends start asking you, where'd you get that great evil combater? You tell them you got it from old Zifnab, and soon they're telling their friends, and they're telling their friends. Eventually, everyone has a Zifnab special. Take Pry Seal Piece, Haplo. Go back to your lord. But remember what you've seen here. Remember these people. Consider carefully exactly what you are doing and why.
He turns and exits the citadel. By the time you reach the doorway to follow, he has disappeared. Well, he's certainly given us something to think about. Yoink! They all seem pretty happy. Titans that are gathered in a chamber so brightly lit that you have to squint to make them out. Perhaps this is why they were created without the ability to see. The interior of the citadel is even more impressive than the exterior. Spires and towers jut from lower structures, all of which appear to be connected at some point. It's one huge building as well as a city, functional as well as beautiful. Well, I'd say our mission here is done. We got the seal piece, we got the next naming rune. Speaking of which... So, back to the Nexus we go. That didn't take nearly as long as Ariana's, fortunately. Here you are, sir. You hand over the fire seal piece and quickly recount your experiences on Prian. Zar listens closely to your description of Zifnab and the Titans, obviously troubled by both encounters.
Excellent, my son. You exceed even my best expectations. Not only did you recover Prian's seal piece, but you have discovered a living Sartan. I doubt that he is alone, as he claims, and the addition of these Titans to his forces means that he is someone to be reckoned with. I will have to adjust my plans to compensate. We might have to destroy this citadel to be sure of the giant's destruction. It is a shame you couldn't bring Zifnab back with you for further questioning.
That's a bit radical, isn't it?
You have the crystal fragment of the world seal. Use that to place the naming rune of Abarak upon your steering stone, and then leave as soon as you can. Events are occurring at a fast pace. If even one Sartan knows you exist, we must assume they all do. But we need information. I must know what the other realms are like, where the Sartan's forces are, and what they number. And I need those seal pieces. Good luck, my son.
Zifnab seemed mad, but he genuinely cared about the mensch there. He had a plan to make their lives better.
Who knows how far gone that Sartan was? Living in solitude with those mensch would have driven anyone insane. No wonder he was obsessed with them. Hopefully, when the world is reformed and we destroy the citadel, he'll disappear along with it.
What about Zifnab's dragon? Do you consider him a threat?
If I believed in him, I would. Don't take this personally, my son, but dragons are fairy tales, legends, nothing more. This Zifnab played on your gullibility. I've read that the Sartan used to command the art of illusion. He must have created the dragon for your benefit, to keep you from killing him. It worked, didn't it?
I think you've been sitting inside reading your books for too long.
If you destroy the citadel, won't that kill the mensch that have moved inside?
Are you questioning my tactics? Don't you understand that the threat represented by the Titans far outweighs the importance of the lives of a few mensch? Don't get personally involved with them, Haplo. This is war. There are always sacrifices.
That's enough for right now. I'd like to talk to you later if you don't mind.
Very well. I'll be here.
I don't like you anymore. But yeah, we're done with with Prian. So next time, we will be making our way to the world of Stone Abarak and see what awaits us there. So, I'm Amayirot Akago. Thank you very much, as usual, for watching, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.